This year marks a new milestone in the history of the award, as it's the first time that a member of the same family as a previous recipient will be honored. The occasion speaks to a legacy of stewardship and the passing of a commitment to the preservation of Palm Beach's architectural heritage from one generation to the next. Aaron, your father and uncle received the Ballinger Award in 1999 for their respective restorations of two Wyeth design residences, which you can see on the screen and are located just down the street. What was the impact of growing up visiting these properties, and how did it frame your perspective on the roles of great architecture and historic preservation?
We used to come many, many times a year to visit my grandparents, and I always used to say that the night before we would travel, I couldn't sleep because I'm so excited to come. And I think it really was all about family time. We were near the ocean, beautiful flowers, and it was just, it's funny, when I go back to my uncle's house, it still smells exactly the way when my grandmother had it. And there's something wonderful about the heritage and the tradition. And I think when my father and my mother worked on the project right next door to Esty had such incredible vision. And at the time, people knew her house. So Estes was on South Edge Boulevard, and she had the vision because the house next door to it was for sale, and she did not want anyone to buy it and build condominiums and be leaning over the fence. So she had the vision and the creativity to purchase it and keep it. So she would have one for each son. And it really was where we spent so much time together as a family. And it is such an inspiration for so much that I do. And so when this house became available within this wonderful little magical area, it was kind of thing.
So what was it that drew you to this home?
Well, ever since I was young, I used to, would always walk in the area, and I've always loved this house, and I was always curious to know who lived in it, what did it look like inside. And when we had the opportunity to come and see it, I immediately fell in love the second I walked in the front door. And these pictures are quite extraordinary because we actually found them in the attic when we were doing the construction. And it's just kind of extraordinary. This is really interesting for you to see because you can tell how incredible the work was that Jeff and Sophia did. It's when you see how the living room looked, the paneling, the floor, the pool area, the fountain. We've really kept everything as is. So I think this was such a wonderful surprise when we went into the attic and found this in an envelope.
Sophia, Howard Major is known as one of Palm Beach's Big Five architects. He felt strongly that the British colonial style was more appropriate for Florida's climate than the prevailing Mediterranean revival style, which he believed was irreflective of American national character. A noteworthy example of Major's work in this style, in the British colonial style, that many are familiar with is Major Alley, which you can see up on the screen. Interestingly, this home, 124 Via Bethesda, is designed in the Creole French classical style. Is there a connection between those two styles, and how does this home fit into his overall body of work?
These are styles that are adaptations to a warmer climate. So they have the same characteristics of shutters, louvers, openness of plan, larger openings to capture breezes, symmetry. But what I really like about this house in particular is that it has this refinement and this real sophistication to the design, but it's rendered in this rustic Cuban coral stone. So you have this juxtaposition of this material and this refinement. It really makes it unique and unusual.
And I love this picture of Howard Major. Unfortunately, he's the only one of the Big Five architects that we don't know what happened to his architectural collection. So the plans that we have are on microfiche through the town. We always hope that we're actually working on a book about Howard Major that will uncover some new things. But I love this picture. It's one of the few that we have of him. I think it's so glamorous. So, Stephen, given the Creole French style is rare in Palm Beach, I think everyone seeing this home, you recognize how special this is. And it's really not a style that we see many other places in town. And so, given its rareness, how did you approach the interiors? And did the exterior architecture and original interiors influence it?
I mean, I love the house the minute I saw it with Aaron, and I thought it was exceptional, and I love the rough hewn and the elegance and the proportions. I understood that. And being a Francophile, I thought it should have a French flavor to the whole thing. in a modern way. And it was funny. I've never seen those pictures. And there was mostly English furniture in an 18th century an 18th century style. So I thought, I'm very, very proud that we went French on it. And it was great working with Erin because we understood each other, because I loved the original floors. And I know Sophia loved it too. And we really wanted to peel back all the junk over the years that happened. Like they put a bar in the dining room, and we took the bar out, and we made 2 rooms, a beautiful library for the boys. And it was funny though. My first design conception had a lot more pattern and floral in it. Erin came to the office. She loved it a minute, and then 3 days later, she said, I've been thinking about this. I've got boys. I've got to have it sleeker and more comfortable, and we can't have flowers everywhere. And she was exactly right. So it made it, but it became more modern, and it was much more exciting to have it all white and different textures and things. But the thing that I really did want to do is get really period 18th century furniture in there, because it's such a beautiful thing, and it's a very good value at this time. I'm always thinking about that. And we found beautiful things, very simple things. We were in Paris, and we were looking at shops after shops, and it was just a wonderful journey to do the whole thing. It wasn't that simple. It was very laborious and difficult with, putting all this together and getting it done on time. But it was magical, and it really turned out wonderful. I was very happy with it.
And the blue and white is obviously very much an inspiration from my grandmother. Many people who knew her knew that she loved blue and white. It was really the inspiration for her brand, and many of the offices around the world still have the blue and white color coding. And the blue and white ceramic vases, it was the first thing we bought. And we knew that I loved the idea of doing an all-white living room. And I thought there was something really fun about the different textures and patterns and white on white. And once we started laying everything together, it seemed really quite perfect. And it really is very much inspired by her love of blue and white with a twist.
Well, and I understand that although you've been friends for many years, this is the first project that you worked on together. Was there anything that you learned about each other in the process, or any fun stories that you'd like to share?
Well, I think you have an amazing attention to detail, and you're so passionate. And that first meeting, he was so organized. He had these concept boards and piles of lots of flowered fabrics, which we eliminated.
We were friends forever. We didn't see each other a lot, but we were good friends. And it was just a natural fit.
And working together was even more special, because I learned so much from you. And also just the attention to detail. When you came, the dining room, which you'll see later, has a wonderful story about it. But he hand carried down the wallpaper in 2 ski bags. I don't think you're a skier, but you had these 2 huge, ski bags, and he came in, and I just had never worked with anyone who really cared so much about every little detail. So thank you, Stephen. So actually, it's perfect timing, because the dining room, which I love, and that is the one room that does have flowers, and has a wonderful story behind it. Stephen introduced me to Dita Blair, who I've met through people, but he's very, very, very close.
You knew her.
I've known her for many years, but I never spent that much time with her one-on-one. And Stephen's very, very close with her. And we had lots of wonderful meals together in her very beautiful apartment at the River House. And these iconic curtains are such her signature. And she was so wonderful. And I was saying how much I loved them. And she said, if you want, you can take a panel and you can send it to someone, and you can copy it and use it for your new home. And I was so honored. And I think it's almost like the nucleus of the house, which I think is really beautiful. The house has a very peaceful feel, but this room is completely magical. And
it is.
Stephen changed them slightly. If you notice, there's a beautiful stripe on either side of the floral, and they're painted on a silk wallpaper that he hand carried, and I think it's magical.
What was strange about this, I didn't realize it because I'd been in this house so many times at Dita's, and I thought probably the panels were all individual trees, but they were the same pattern. They were all hand painted in Paris for her, but they were just one pattern, so we had to flip the pattern over. I figured that out in the double things, so they match together so they don't go the same way. And I thought they were all individual, but it was the same pattern.
Yeah, you're amazing. And then this goes into, Estee's love of blue. This color was really the color of her original products that she launched in 1946, this amazing kind of beautiful turquoise. And the lower shot on the lower right side was her original Palm Beach room that was in her house on South Ocean Boulevard. And then when my parents did their home, they copied that exact room and recreated it upstairs. And to me, that always was Palm Beach. And the color, the combination of blue and white, palms, beautiful turquoise painted furniture, Fortuny. So I took those elements and put it into this room adjacent to the master bedroom, which is kind of a dressing room.
You had that chandelier, which was just beautiful.
Yes. This is not big.
In New York.
Yeah, and that's an old picture of Estee in Palm Beach in that actual original room, so which is really fun. And then once again, the idea of blue and white. Estee always loved, as I said, blue and white, and she loved fabric on the walls and, in covering the whole room, whether it was the chair, the lampshade, the headboard in this, and it really becomes a fantasy. And, we, as Stephen said, we would travel and we would find wonderful antiques together and paint them. And Stephen himself has even hand-painted the mirrors and different elements of the walls, the wallpapers. So, as I said before, he's very, very hands-on, which was really fun.
You have to do that to get that simplicity and that detail thing.
And then this is the master bedroom, which is really quite peaceful. It's all green and white because one thing I love when I do a home is to be inspired by the environment around me. And every window that you look out of, you see beautiful palms. Even though it's been raining for a month straight, the green looks different in the rain. It's so beautiful. It's almost a gray green. And so I really wanted to take those elements of green and translate it into the house as well. So we did this beautiful room.
I love this room. And, I give you total credit for this because the whole thing, you immediately went to this green. I want this on the wall.
Yes.
Remember that.
Well, I love green.
And I knew what you were doing, the outside coming in.
Because of all the windows, we're
Yeah.
sitting right near the golf course and the beautiful palms and the landscaping. Mario Navarro did the landscaping, and he did a beautiful, beautiful job. And when I did the article for Architectural Digest, Mr. McIntosh, who lived here for many years with his wife, who I'm sure many people in the audience knew, and I think they were here for 38 years, and she had originally planted the garden, and we kept it all as is. And even during construction, I wanted to make sure that the landscapers were still coming and preserving it and not letting anything die. And as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful and timeless and so much green.
He did a beautiful job.
He did a beautiful, beautiful job.
Yeah.
It's always wonderful with the Ballinger Award to see the finished product, but it's often a bit messy to get to this point. And so I wanted to ask you, Sophia, if you could talk about some of the structural work that had to be done and the updating that was needed.
Well, this house was built in 1930, and not very much was done to this house aside from some changes and some additions that were done in 1965, including the pool cabana that we're sitting in now. So the finishes were largely intact, but everything behind the walls was really in need of some crucial updating. So, for example, here with the living room, we removed the paneling and preserved it. And then this is kind of a progression of the structural updates that we had to do to the framing to receive the new doors and windows. And the ceiling was sagging, so we had to reinforce that. And then they slowly started putting the panels back in place, and then the room was restored. Another example is in the loggia. Was a particularly challenging one because it was discovered that the foundation was settling and the loggia was actually tilting away from the house. And after some exploratory work, it was discovered that the loggia was built of solid stone blocks. There was no structure in there. So the stonemasons very carefully removed the blocks piece by piece, cataloged them, numbered them, and they were all laid all over the pool deck along the east side. And then we poured back a solid structural, all the arches back, and then they took every piece of stone and cut the middle out of it and put it back around the structure, wrapped it back around the structure so that all of the original stone in the lower right photo looks just like it did before we did anything. But it really was quite extraordinary, the undertaking.
Do you know roughly offhand how many pieces it was that they had to
Oh my
number?
gosh. Hundreds.
I can't even imagine.
And even in 1965, when they did this addition and they added the library and they added onto the kitchen, the stone that they put back was a faux stone. It was like a stucco-based stone. So we took all of that off and found stone that matched the existing stone exactly and clad everything in the stone, the matching stone. And aged the stone as well, so that it all matched the old stone.
Amazing. One of the things that Betsy and I, our chairman, appreciated was how many of the original details were retained. So often in these restoration projects, we see that a lot of original details are replicated in the pursuit of perfection. And, you know, there is great value to patina and a house showing its age. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit about the intention that was set at the beginning and the parameters of how you made sure that things weren't replaced or lost. And I think these are some wonderful details that you can see up close that really just show those lovely details and their patina.
And we made such an effort to, endless emails. Please make sure we keep all the doorknobs, all the doors, everything was original. And that was something I felt very, very strongly about. Even now when I close my door sometimes at night, it doesn't completely line up, but it's fine because it's original. The lock does not work, but but there's something that is so important to me because I do feel that the heritage is everything. And I wanted to make sure that when we took everything off, all the beautiful glass doors and windows and mirrors, that we kept it safe and put it back and had it look exactly as if it was never touched.
I remember a moment that we're discovering the black and white tile of the marble, and so many of the black tiles were painted, and they said, leave them painted like they were. And I thought that was a good choice.
And even, when Stephen and I had to, like, for example, the fireplace, we found a beautiful old one in Paris, so it really did feel as if it was in that room originally, and we really made an effort with all the different pieces to make sure it was all one story.
One of the phrases we always had during the course of construction was perfectly imperfect, because there's always this tendency to make everything look perfect. And you have these existing doors, you don't need to fix every chip, every nick, leave a little bit of that patina. And even where we occasionally needed a new door, we replicated that aging process in the new doors so that everything looked the same.
Really wonderful. Well, I wanted to kind of conclude by asking you, Erin, what does it mean for you to receive this award, and why do you think that restorations like this are important to the future of Palm Beach?
Well, it's a huge honor to receive it, and I cannot thank you enough for all your support. And I think it's so important. I think what makes Palm Beach so special is the heritage and the tradition. And you don't see that in a lot of places. And I think there's something really, really important about that, especially for the next generation. And I think it's one place where you do see that. So I think being acknowledged for this award, I think, is a wonderful honor. I think it's very important for everyone to always respect the past.
Absolutely.
And Stephen and Sophia, how does it feel to have your work recognized with an award?
Well, this project is truly a highlight of my career, but what really made this project successful was the team. We have a dream client. We're working with top designers, top contractors, top landscape architect. The team was really a great collaboration. And one thing I'll say that was really rare to experience here is that all the hundreds of people that touched this house were invested in it. They really had a sense of pride of what we were doing here. And that's really special.
Stephen, is there anything you'd like to add?
I've done so much work over the last 30 years, I was very proud of my work, but working with Aaron and doing this house was a monumental thing for me because it set my mind in thinking different ways and different creativity and not go for the big boom look. It was something refined.
And we did have the dream team, so thank you to everyone. We did. We had a lot of fun. It was wonderful. We learned a lot.
Well, congratulations
Thank you.
to all of you. It's really just exemplary, and we're so thrilled at the foundation to be able to recognize your work and your dedication to protecting the town's architectural heritage.